You are listening to Healing with Haley, episode 30, The Strength to Heal, Nayomy's journey of resilience after an Achilles rupture. Welcome to the podcast where it's all about healing, self-improvement, our brains, and living your dream life. My name is Haley Kirk, and I'm a life coach, mom, and entrepreneur here to show you how to be the hero of your story. You guys, I have a super amazing guest. My amazing friend Nayomy is here, and she's going to tell us this crazy story about what happened to her. And we have been friends for like 2-3 years now.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my God, time has went by so fast when you think about it.
Yeah, we met in a group called Central Movement, and they would host these like salsa bachata, mainly bachata, congresses where people get together and they do pool parties, workshops, all the stuff, and then the socials at the nighttime. But yeah, I've always admired you. You've always had this energy of positivity and love and acceptance and just sunshine. Like you've
Oh,
always
thank
em-
you.
yeah, you
Don't make
embody
me
that.
cry. Like, we just started the podcast. Like, take it slow, Haley.
No, I get intimate real fast. But
Yes, I
yeah,
remember we met at the pool party at the competition.
no.
And I let you use
With
Alejandro,
Alejandro.
which is my boyfriend, guys.
We
They
gotta keep
both
it
were in
creative.
bathing suits. It was a
I'm
fun
so
time.
sorry. It was just for show. It was just for show, Nayomy.
I was like cheering you on. I was like, let's go.
Yeah, you were.
It
Oh
was a
my,
good time.
that was so funny. Yeah. So Alejandro's Naomi's boyfriend, and we went in together to do like a competition, and we won. Let's just say that.
Let's just say that.
We killed it.
Long story short, they got the title for that year.
Oh man. But okay, so the reason I brought Naomi on this podcast is I've been, watching her social media posts and about this crazy circumstance that happened to her and her body. And Naomi, I'm gonna let you take it over. I know you already kind of told me about it a little bit before we started, but start from the beginning. So you're with your family playing dodgeball or kickball.
Kickball, yeah.
Kickball.
So it was a Sunday, and Sunday fun day. And we got with the family. It was raining. I live in Florida, by the way. And they say there was a tropical storm coming. And us lion people, we don't let nothing stop us. We're like, it's okay. It's a little bit of rain. It's Florida. It might not even rain. We get to my aunt's house to go play kickball. And I'm like getting ready, and I get so competitive. And it was my turn to run to the next base. And when my cousin kicked the ball, I was like in the position ready to run. And when I took off to run, it felt like somebody kicked me real hard in the back of my leg. And I tried to keep running, but when I took that second step, I just fell to the ground, and I just remember seeing black. And I just turn around, and I'm like holding my ankle because it was in pain. And like my whole family comes and surrounds me, and they're like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I was like, "I'm in pain." I was like, "Take this shoe off." Like, I was like, "Just take it off, take it off." I can't. And everyone was like, "No, you probably twisted your ankle. Keep your shoe on so it doesn't swell up." I was like, "Guys," I was like, "I don't care." I was like, "Take my shoe off." And I like to make jokes even when I'm in pain. So when they were taking my shoe off and taking my sock off, I was like, at least I have a pedicure so my feet don't look ugly.
You guys see what I mean? You see what I mean? This positive girl right here.
And my family look at me like, oh my God, this girl. So they like help me up and sit me down. And Alejandro's like, he grabs his shoe. He takes it off, by the way. He takes off his shoe. And he's like probably like 3 times the size of my foot. Like I'm a size like 7. He's like a size 11. And he fills it up with ice and put my foot in there. He's like, just
Aw.
put your foot in here, elevate it, ice it. You just probably twisted your ankle. Just let it relax. My family left me in the rain, sitting down while they resume playing kickball. And I'm just in pain. I'm like, yeah, guys, I'm okay. Have fun. Keep playing. Keep playing your kickball. I'm okay. And then all I was thinking about was like, oh my God, I won't be able to go to the gym. with this twisted ankle.
I love that. I love that.
I
That's your
was
first
so
thought.
heartbroken. I was like, no,
Yeah.
the gym. So, and then I couldn't hold the pain anymore. I was cold. I was shivering in the rain. So I told Alejandro, I was like, hey, babe, I was like, can we leave? I was like, I really just want to take a hot shower, lay in bed, elevate my leg, ice it, do whatever I have to do, wrap it. So when we get home, like Alejandro quickly goes to Publix and like he buys me everything I need. Like he buys me the wraps, like medication to like just to ease the pain a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I took like a hot shower and I'm like laying in bed. And then Alejandro thinks he's a doctor. So he
I
goes,
love it.
can you wiggle your toes for me? And I'm like barely wiggling them. And he's like, okay, good. And he's like, do you feel any pain? And I'm like, no. And he's like, okay. He goes, yeah, so you probably just sprained your ankle. And I'm like, oh, okay. He goes, you just can't put weight on it for a week. And I'm like, okay. The next day I wake up and I feel a throbbing pain in my calf. And I'm like, why is my calf hurting if I twisted my ankle? And when I went to get up from bed, literally my foot looked like it was hanging. Yeah, like it was hanging and I couldn't lift it up.
So it was like
So,
that because the
yeah,
Achilles was like torn.
yeah. So
Oh
that's
my,
like what keeps your foot at is it a 90 degree?
oh
Like
my
in
God.
that neutral position?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So, you know, I start Googling so I could freak myself out.
Of course.
So I was like, can you pull a muscle in your calf? Like I just started Googling random stuff with the calf. And then I started reading something about the Achilles and how there was like different levels of tears. And I was like, I'm reading the symptoms and they're like, oh, sore calves, could barely move your toes, can't put no weight on it. And I'm like, check, check, check. And I was like, Alejandro, we need to go to a hospital. I was like, I think it's my Achilles. And he's like, okay, baby. He goes, if you want a peace of mind, like, okay, we could go. So you feel more comfortable. And he's like, but I'm pretty sure you're fine. Like he tries to be positive. And I'm like, I
Wrong
was like,
time to be positive.
you know what? I don't care. I was like, I know it's more serious because I could feel it and I could see what's going
Right.
on.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I go to my first appointment. I go to like one of those like little like
Urgent
admin
care?
healthcare type, yeah, like an urgent
Okay.
care type thing. And like I have the nurse and she's like, do you feel any pain? And I'm like, no. I was like, it's just discomfort. I was like, it's not really pain. And then she's like, well, I'm gonna put that you're in real pain because if not, they're not gonna do x-rays. And then I was like, what? I was like, is that even legal?
Yeah. It's so stupid.
I was
Yeah.
like, that's so crazy. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I was like, yeah, put that I'm in a lot of pain that I can't sleep. And I was like, I can't put my weight on it. I can't walk on it. I was like, yeah, put whatever you have to put for them to do x-rays because I need to know what's going on.
It's so serious.
So, and then the doctor comes in and he does the Thompson test that I was telling you earlier, where they squeeze your ankle to see if your foot moves. He starts from my calves and he goes, does this hurt? Squeezes. I'm like, no. Does this hurt? No. Until he made it to my calf. No, not to my calf, to my ankle. I swear he squeezed even harder in that area than anywhere else that I wanted to punch him in the face.
Oh my God.
I was like, yes, 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 yes. I'm like, yeah, that's where it hurts. That's where it hurts. And he's like, hmm, okay. He goes, well, we need to request an MRI. And he goes, we have to wait for your insurance to respond and then schedule you an appointment. It might not be today, it probably be sometime next week or the week after. And I'm like, he's like, yeah, x-rays won't be enough to tell us what's wrong, which is a lie. Just with that test he did, he was supposed to be able to tell that it was my Achilles.
Ugh.
And he just wanted to send me around the loop. So for some reason, something told me to text my cousin. And I text her and I was like, hey, I was like, I'm at the hospital right now and I think I might have broken something because they want me to get an MRI done. And she goes, Naomi, she goes, I work for Orlando Health. She's like, there's an other office that you could just do a walk in and they could tell you right there and then what you have. And I was like, oh, okay. So me and Alejandro like go to that location, which was like 10 minutes away from where we were at. So we go in there, they put me into the room, and they do the same test that the guy did. And just from them doing the squeeze test again, they were like, okay, yeah, you probably ruptured your Achilles. And I was like, I wanted to cry in the office so bad when they told me that. And they're like, but let's just confirm and let's do a ultrasound. And I'm like, okay. So they bring the other nurse in. Is it like a sports medicine doctor?
Okay. Yeah, like those physical therapists, like a PT.
No, 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 no. It's like I think it's a sports medicine doctor.
Okay.
And he comes with his machine and then he starts doing the ultrasound. And then him and they're giving each other faces. They're talking to each other with their eyes. And I'm here freaking out because I'm like laying down on my stomach while he's like doing the ultrasound. And I'm like, and then I could just tell by the doctor's voice that he didn't have good news for me. And then he shows me my gut leg. He's like, you see this all white? He goes, that's your Achilles, that's your tendon, nice and healthy. And then he goes, let me show you your bad one. And then the screen is completely black. He goes, you see this? He goes, 90% ruptured. He goes, almost gone. And then I look at him and I'm like, I was like, so does that mean I need surgery? And everyone in the office nodded their head like, yeah, like right away.
Mm.
The thought of surgery freaking scared me.
Wow.
I've never had surgery done. I barely go to the hospital because I don't like them. I'm very anti everything with hospitals, medications. And when they told me I had to get surgery, I was like, oh my God, like, is this really happening? I'm
Hmm.
like, why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
I'm like, it was such an innocent day. Like, I just went to go play kickball with my family. Now I have to go through all this from running from one base
Aw.
to another.
Oh God.
And luckily, like, I was able to get an appointment to see an ortho doctor the next day. And when I went to
Ortho,
see him,
ortho doctor.
mm-hmm,
Oh, orthopedics. That's bones,
orthopedics.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they do bones and tendons and all those type of stuff.
Okay.
So when I go see him, like he was like, I don't know, he gave me like a California vibe because he was like this like white male, mad chill, but he looked old and young at the same time. And like he's like, hey, my name is Dr. Ebom. He goes, I'll be the one striking you, blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay. He makes me lay down on my stomach to do the same test. My ankle was already hurting from the other two people squeezing
Oh
my
my
ankle.
goodness. And
And
this
he
is all
goes
in the
and
same day.
no, like within I would say 48 hours because it was
Okay.
the day I got checked and then the next day I went to him.
Okay.
So like within the 2 days, my ankles is just getting squeezed by people. So it was already irritated. So he does it but he went in. Like he squeezed the heck out of me. And when he squeezed, I was like, yep. I was like, yeah, yep. I was like, yep, that's where it hurts. And he's like, yeah. He goes, your Achilles is ruptured. So he goes, so there's two options. He goes, you can either go natural and let it heal on itself, or you could get surgery. He goes, the only thing is if you do decide to go natural, he goes, it does take twice as long of a recovery. So, and he goes, and if you do decide to go natural as well, there is no guarantee that your Achilles tendon will heal back properly and you might still need to get surgery. So
Oh,
when he told me that, I was like, so surgery is like the better option right now.
yeah.
And he goes, if it happened to me, he goes, I would tell them to open me up right away and do the surgery. So like me, my mom, and Alejandro, we all did our research, and a lot of people said the surgery is a better option
Mm-hmm.
because the recovery just takes a year compared to taking 2 years. Yeah, it's a long recovery.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, I was like, I'll do the surgery. He goes, are you nervous? Like, are you one of those like don't open me up type of people, stay away from me? I'm like, yes, but I was like, but if I have no choice and like the best option is surgery, I'm gonna go with whatever the best option is. And
Right.
I'm like, how long is it going to take? He's like, for you, 5 minutes. For me, 45. And I started laughing. I'm like, okay, you're making jokes. I was like, I like you.
Yeah, yeah.
I like,
He sounds like he's good humored. Oh, that's
yeah, I
funny.
was like, I like you. I was like, yeah, that was a funny joke. But he was in line. It did feel like 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 5 minutes. That's so funny.
Yeah. So like they scheduled my surgery a week after. They had me like in the boot, and I had to stay in the boot until surgery day. I couldn't put no weight on it. Um, the day of surgery, I was so nervous. And when they took me to the back to start prepping me and stuff, I wanted to cry because of how nervous I was. Like I'm over here thinking, "Hey, I'm going to die. I'm going to die during this
Whoa.
surgery,"
Whoa.
because like my mind will put itself somewhere it shouldn't be. And I
Yeah,
would start thinking the worst of the worst.
right.
I'm like, what if they give me a medication where my body doesn't react right and something happens to me?
Hmm.
Or what if something happens to me while I'm under anesthesia? Like I start thinking about everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And when they're prepping me, and getting me ready to like do the procedure, the anesthesia guy comes in and he's like, oh, like asking me all these questions. Are you allergic to this? Are you allergic to that? Do you have any history of this? Once I was done answering the questions, he's like, I'm going to recommend this for you. He goes, do you want to take a nerve block? And I'm like, a nerve block? I'm like, what is that? And he's like, it's for you not to feel pain when you wake up. He goes, it's just a little injection that we put in your leg. And then I'm like, what are the risks? I'm like, there's always risks. So he's like, just like, I think he says like a loss of sensation or like your nerves getting damaged. And I was like, so that's a pretty big risk. And he goes, yeah, but he goes, that only happens to 1 out of 100 people or one out of 1,000. And I was like, and I'm like looking at Alejandro, I'm like, should I take it? And Alejandro's like, I will take it because you don't know how painful it's going to be when you wake up. So I tell the anesthesia guy, I'm like, yeah, I was like, I'll take it. He's like, okay, cool. And then he leaves, and then I start overthinking it. And I was like, what if I don't get my sensation back? What if I don't feel again? What if I can't walk again? And I get the surgery for no reason? Like I start overthinking. And Alejandro
Yeah.
goes, babe, are you doubting like to take the shot? He goes, do you want to ask him again? And I was like, yeah, I was like, I want to ask him a few more questions before I actually do it. So the anesthesia guy comes back. And he's like, hey, what's up? Do you have more questions? I'm like, yeah. I was like, what are the chances of me not being able to walk again? And I'm like, is there a chance that I won't be able to feel? Like, what other like risks are there?
Yeah.
He gives me like this deep like information. And he basically, like to put it short, he was like, honestly, he goes, that nerve block is nothing compared to everything else you're getting done right now. He goes, if you're worried about something happening, he goes, he literally goes, you could literally die from a heart attack while being under anesthesia. I'm like, why are you gonna say that? I'm like, why you have to say that? Like that's what's running through my head right now, and you gotta make that comment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's like, to make you feel better, he goes, if you do take the nerve block, we could pump less medication in you because your leg will be fully asleep, that it won't be moving, so we don't have to pump as much medication to keep you still. Because I guess like if they don't put a nerve block, once the doctor starts like working in there, he's like, you could be asleep, but your body will still react to anything that touches it. 'Cause I guess with anesthesia, it just shuts off your brain. But like your legs, like the nerves in there, when they're like working in there, it will react to anything that's like touching it. So it will make my feet like move, and
Hmm.
that will have to make them like pump more medication so my legs relax, so my legs could relax more.
Wow.
So he's like, if you take the nerve block, your leg will move and we could give you less medication. So he goes, there's a pro and con. He goes, anything could happen to you with whatever you take right now. And then I'm like, okay. So he goes, so you game? I was like, I was like, yeah. I was like, I'm game. As soon as I said that, all the nurses were popping left and right with the machines. They were like ready to give me that shot. And then
Wow.
they tell Alejandro to get out the room real quick while they give me the shot. And then they close the curtains because it's not a room. It's like those, like, it has like curtains
Like a
and there's
prep,
like
a
beds.
prep
Yeah.
place. Yeah.
And so when they close the curtains, I'm like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in the movie right now. And like the anesthesia guy, he's like reading this paper. He's like, okay, so patient consents, blah, 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 to take the nerve block, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, sign here. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, am I giving my life away right now?
Yeah.
I'm like so scared. So I signed the paper and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna give you your shot now. So I guess they use it ultrasound as well, where they try to look where they could give me the shot so they don't hit a nerve or anything
Yeah.
that could like do any damage in there. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like 3 shots. And after they put the shot, they started pumping the anesthesia in me and like putting all the medications inside my IV.
Mm-hmm.
And after they gave me the shot, I don't remember anything. I don't remember Alejandro coming back.
Wow.
I just remember like them prepping me to give me those shots. And then next thing you know, like I'm opening my eyes after surgery. And I just remember seeing cranberry juice and 2 pack of graham crackers. My body knew it needed that in like in my system because my first reaction was to grab that and just put it in my mouth. And
Yeah.
it made me feel so good right away. Like I didn't feel like fuzzy. I didn't wake up like in pain, or like loopy or anything like that. Like I felt normal. And I was like, wow, I was like, I'm already out. I was like, that was so fast. I was like, I don't remember knocking out. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
in like they call Alejandro to go get me and they put me in the wheelchair. And Alejandro goes, damn, baby, he goes, that surgery was fast. Like they put you in and text me 30 minutes later that you were done. And I was like, did you ever come back to the room? And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, I don't remember you coming back. He goes, yeah, we had like a whole 30-minute conversation and everything. I was like, what? He's like, yeah,
Wow.
he's like, you met all the doctors, you met your whole anesthesia team. Like they were asking you questions, you were answering them back. They talked about your braces. I'm like, I don't remember anything.
Whoa.
I was
Oh
like, I
my
don't remember
God.
meeting anyone except I remember meeting my surgeon, the main anesthesia guy, and that's it. He's like, no, he goes, the whole team came out before they took you in. And I was like, I don't remember.
So fast track for me. So when you're doing those videos of you and your recovery, talk to me about that.
So I got the green light to start physical therapy. So the first day I went to physical therapy, they were checking to see how much strength I've lost from that leg.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy how much strength and flexibility you lose from having your leg like in a cast for so long. So my foot was in a
Mm-hmm.
cast for 5 weeks. And when they transitioned me into a boot, I had to learn how to walk again.
Mm-hmm.
And the first day was really hard on learning how to use the boot and learn how to walk in it correctly without putting too much weight in it. And the thing is, when you put the boot, your foot is not neutral. Your foot is still in that position where it's like, I don't know what you call this position.
Yeah.
Basically, your toes are
Like,
pointing down and
yeah.
your heel is lifted because they have these wedges in the boot to keep your heel lifted. And it's so the tendon, the Achilles, doesn't re-rupture again during your recovery. So when I went to PT, the girl puts me on the table and she starts like checking my foot to see what degree it could go back. She was trying to get it to neutral.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't even go halfway neutral. I was screaming on that bed from how tight my foot was. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
cry when I saw how weak my leg got, that I almost lost hope on the first day already.
Mm-hmm.
And she started like twisting my ankle and like doing all these different stretches. And like she like put a towel on the floor and she's like, try to move the towel with your toes. I couldn't move my toes at all. And after she did my assessment, she's like, okay, she goes, these are some stretches you're gonna do at home. And I was like, okay. I started making those videos to see my progress of my movement on my foot. because this type of injury is more mentally than physically, because mentally you feel like you're going to re-rupture that tendon again. So you
Like doing
overthink.
anything.
Yeah, so you overthink any movement. Like just lifting your like, even to do like like to lift your foot, or to do like circles where your feet, and to do any type of movement, you feel like you're gonna hurt yourself again. So I started making those videos just to like remind myself that there is progress happening, even if I don't notice them, because I'm seeing it every day. Like I'm like, oh my God, like the range of motion still looks the same to me. But
Yeah.
once I put those videos together, like I'm able to see how much more movement my foot has now compared to the first day.
Yeah.
And I feel like with this injury, like a lot of people think like it's a minor injury, but it's not. I'm like, this is like an injury that's like so serious that any dancer or athlete that goes through this, like you have to be mentally strong, because this will knock you down so bad. Like the first week I was crying. Like I was like, God, like why me? Like why am I going through this? Like why am I being punished? Like I was like people will visit me and then they ask me how I'm doing. I just wanted to cry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I had to like switch my mindset to where I had to think like, okay, what am I going to learn from this experience? Like, what is the purpose of me going through this right now? Is it a way for me to like slow down and live more of like a still lifestyle, because I was always on the go? Is it for me to learn like new things about myself, or find like new hobbies that I probably will get into, but I would never do it because I was always out and about? Or maybe to learn more about myself in a more mental, personal way. And me, like, I'm the type of person that I don't cry in front of people, and I'm not like a very sentimental person. Like I'm like very like I hide my feelings type of person. And this injury like has taught me like to show my emotions now, and to like say it's okay to ask others for help, and not always needing to be independent. Because with this type of journey, like I had to depend on Alejandro to shower me, to help me get out of bed, to cook for me, to dress me, to drive me everywhere. Because just from this injury, there's so many things that you have to stop doing, and you have to depend on other people. And I had to learn to not to stop saying sorry. Because every time I'll be like, hey, Alejandro, can you do this? And I'll be like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, you don't have to say sorry. He's like, I'm your partner. This is what I'm here for. Like, you're in a situation that is not your fault. And it's not like you're making me do things just because. He's like, I know you can't do it. So as your partner, I don't mind doing it. I don't mind doing these things for you and helping you. And it's like, you realize as well, like who your friends really are. And like people, like you realize those people who have those intentions that are good, or intentions that are bad. And it's like people that I thought that would be here for me through this process have not shown up once. And it's like I looked at it, okay, is this experience showing me like who I need to surround myself with and who I need to push away? Because those friends are not thinking about me, how I'm feeling mentally. And me as a friend, if I know one of my friends are going through something, especially like something like this or something that's really hard, I know they're not going to want to go through it alone. They're going to want to have a support system, and they're going to want someone to always be checking on them mentally. And I was like, wow, like I'm surrounded by so many people, but so little people check on me. And I told Alejandro, I was like, I can't wait till I'm recovered from this injury and look at all my videos and see like how far I've came, not only physically but mentally, because it shows me like how strong our minds are and how you could literally switch your mindset to whatever you want. Like I could have stayed depressed. I could have like just be in bed, eating my life away, gaining weight, but instead I was like, no, like I need to still keep a part of myself alive, which is going to the gym, working out, being active. If I'm still able to do that, why not keep doing it? Why am I going to use the excuse of this injury to just let myself go? Because I'm like, that's just a mindset that you put yourself in when you feel like giving up. And I'm like, I don't want to give up. I'm like, there's so much more to life out there for me to give up. I'm like, I've seen people in wheelchairs still going to the gym.
Yeah.
I still got one good foot that I could go around my scooter around the gym and work out for my mental health to stay in line. And I told Alejandro, I was like, hey, if you're able to, like, can you record me through this whole process so I can like keep up with it and see my progress so it keeps motivating me to do better. And like I even like starting like before, like it's so funny because I used to never call out to God like that, but I always tell Alejandro, I was like, why do we always call out for God when we're going through something? I'm like, I find that so weird. And then so yesterday I was watching the service, and then the service was about those people that call out to God when they need it. I'm like, oh my God,
That's me.
that's me. I'm like, that's me. I'm sorry, God. I'm not using you. And I'm like, oh my God. But it's like, it's been such a long process. It's only been 2 months. And I'm like, and there's so many more months to go. And I'm like, I freaking applaud everyone that has been through this injury. I've seen so many videos just to like keep my hopes up, knowing that I will recover from this.
Mm-hmm.
And every person that's been through the injury will tell you like mentally and physically is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like the hardest part is the mental part. Like you have to be mentally strong to go through this. Like you have to keep yourself accountable. You have to make sure you keep your lifestyle healthy if you had a healthy lifestyle, because it will be so easy for you to just not care anymore and eat whatever you want and just like watch Netflix because you feel like you're so like limited. But people forget that the human body is so strong and is so capable to do so much than what you think. But it's your mindset that restricts you from doing those things because it starts playing games with you. But once you realize that your mindset is so strong, you realize like, okay, I could do anything. It's me that's stopping me. And if I'm stopping me, like no one is gonna be out here pushing me to do better or to go reach those goals of me being able to walk again. Like the thought of me like not being able to walk right now, I'm like, God, I was like, please, I just want to walk again. Like the fear of me not knowing if I'll be able to walk again is what scares me the most. And I had to like tell myself, like, okay, like you are gonna walk again. You are gonna walk again. This happens to so many athletes and they go back better. They just miss one season and they're back better in their next season. And I was like, this is me. Like, I'm gonna be better in my next season. In my dancing, in my gym, like this is gonna be my comeback. I'm like, this was just a setback for me to come better, a better version of myself, mentally, physically. And then it's gonna show me like, wow, Naomi, you were really strong to get through this fight and fight through this battle. And I have to give it up for Alejandro because Alejandro has been the one that's been here for me and pushing me and like trying to keep me positive. Like, babe, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna walk again. You got this. Like, everything's gonna be okay. While I'm like in bed, like my life is over.
Yeah. Wow. 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 You know, I kind of want to pinpoint like what was the shift for you? Was it this, did you grow tired of this kind of like depression phase or this kind of like glum belief system you had about like my life is over, right? So like you come back from surgery, you're in your house, you're just kind of faced with reality. Like, I
Mhm.
could not walk again. Like, that's a possibility. And for you, like, what shifted your mind?
So what shifted my mind was thinking about the pause. It was me knowing that I will walk again, because there is, it is possible. It's just a tendon that ruptured, but I just get into my head that I think about the worst. And what made me change my mindset was thinking about, okay, like, what if my tendon heals? And what if I'm walking within a few months? But because of me not taking care of myself mentally and physically, I backtrack that healing process. Because with this type of injury, if you start eating bad and you start gaining weight and all that, it backtracks the process of the healing. And you could even, like,
Mm.
yeah, it could re-rupture again. You could hurt yourself again, or it could create complications. And I started thinking, like, okay, if something was to happen, it would be my fault, because I allowed myself to get to that point instead of stopping myself. And I was like, if I want to be walking again and I want to come back healthier and stronger, then I have to switch my mindset to become that better version of myself. I have to go back to the gym. I'm in a boot now. I could go to the gym in a boot. My surgeon said, yes, you could work out, just upper body. So that for me was like, okay, if I could do at least that, like, that should be enough for me to be in a better mindset, knowing that I'm one day closer to healing, instead of thinking about, like, I'm one day longer in my house doing nothing because I can't do nothing. Instead, I'm like, okay, I have my boot. I could do something. This could be another day where I do something for myself to get to that step that I need to get back to who I was. And
So it was this like kind of, if I want this healing to work, I have to get out of this mindset. Like almost kind of like giving yourself no other way than to think this way. Is that
yeah,
kind of, you're like eliminating all the reasons to think any other way than this way?
and it makes you realize that it's just a mental battle that one has with themselves. Like, once you start attacking, like, yourself, and if you let it get too far, it's really hard to come out of that place.
You want to know something I heard that was super amazing? David Goggins. Do you know who he is?
Mm-mm, no,
Okay,
who's that?
listen to him. You'll love him. He wrote a book called Can't Hurt Me. He was a 300-pound contractor, and he was so overweight, and he decided one day, like, you know what? I've always wanted to join the Navy, so I'm going to join the Navy. And he lost like 100 pounds in, I don't know, some crazy amount of time. I can't remember the time frame to meet the requirements to join the Navy. And he said this, he said, that's the problem, is there's just one conversation. There needs to be two conversations. There's that, like, it's almost like this automatic voice, right? Like it just kind of like thoughts just come, right? And he's like, you need to get like the warrior, like the dog. He calls it the dog, like the dog that's like, shut the fuck up, get out of bed. He has such a crass mouth, but I love it because it's this like fighter voice, right? Like, I'm not listening to you. I'm listening to my higher self, my consciousness, my
Yeah.
dog, my warrior. And I was like, yes, yes. Like I get chills talking about it because it's like there is that battle. You're totally right. And like we want to equip ourselves with two conversations, not just one. And then like, the real us just kind of like listening and taking the bull crap. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that's beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's crazy because it's like, you think about it, and that the way I thought about it is like, why would I want to set myself back because of this injury? I should push harder because of this injury.
Wow. Why should you push harder?
Because like there is no limit from how like strong like us humans are, like how strong our mindsets are, how much our body could do. Like sometimes people think just because of an injury they can't do anything anymore. And it's like, no, you could still do what you want to do if you put your mind to it. It's like they say, like nothing is not impossible. Everything is possible if you put your mind into it. And like I had to think that way. Like I used to talk to myself, I'd be like, Naomi, like you need to be that strong woman that you grew up as because of your mom. Because my mom, she's very like mentally, like she's so strong minded that I look up to her so much that because of her, like I'm able to push myself to be a better person. I could mentally be stronger because of her, because she has taught me that, you know, you could do what you want to do if you put your mind to it. Like, don't let nothing stop you. Like, you could do it. The only person stopping you is you. If you say you can't do it, you won't do it. If you say something is too hard, it is going to be hard. And you're not gonna want to do it, and you're just gonna put it aside. And that has taught me that no matter what comes my way, just have to run straight to it and go through it and just accept what the outcome is, whether it's good and bad, but just to keep going. And I think that's like one thing that a lot of people nowadays struggle with is just pushing themselves and being their own motivator and knowing that they are capable to do the things they want to do. And just like thinking about future me, I get so excited because I already see future me back to my old lifestyle, walking, hiking, dancing, hanging out with my friends. Like I see that happy me in the future. And I'm like, I have to go through this. And no matter what happens, like I just have to keep pushing.
That's amazing. That's so great. So, how often do you think like that kind of automatic voice in your head maybe like is maybe stronger than that like warrior voice? Like, do you notice that there's some days where it just kind of like it kind of gives in?
Yes. So usually it gives in if I'm like scrolling through social media and I see everyone's else's life. Like
Mm,
everyone's like having fun, hanging out, going to socials, to festivals, or I see my friends doing simple things like going to like the pumpkin patch now the fall is coming. Or they just go to the beach or have like a pool party and stuff like that. Like that mind starts playing with me and it's like, haha, like you can't do much because you're home. You can't do nothing. Like your life right now is on pause while everyone is still out there living. And then I will start looking at my foot. And the thing with the surgery is like it changes the color of your feet and it makes your skin really, really dry that it looks like it's peeling. And I would look at my foot and I'm like, oh my God, like this thing is not gonna heal. I'm not gonna get back to that normal life. I'm not gonna be able to do normal things with my friends again. And then I start getting paranoid. And that's one thing Alejandro hates about me. Like I'll see one weird thing on my foot and I'm like, is this normal? Is this normal? Is this gonna be an issue for me? Like, is it gonna like push back my progress? And
hmm
then like I start overthinking and like ChatGPT has been my best friend
I
throughout this
love
journey.
ChatGPT. Yes, yes.
I'm like, ChatGPT, is this red around my scar normal? Is this I'm like, that's my doctor.
Oh
And
my
that's
God.
when I start like going back into that black hole. And one thing I realized that has helped me get out of it is trying to do the things that I could do that I would normally do in my regular life, like go spend time with my family or go to a friend's house and spend time with them and just not be home. Because I realize if I'm home for too many days, that's another way it starts attacking me.
hmm
So when I would see other people's stories, like I remember watching this girl's TikTok and she's like, guys, like one thing I recommend for you to do so you don't lose yourself and you don't go crazy is try to do as many normal things you used to do in your regular life before this injury so you could feel some type of normal. And I was like, wow, that is like very smart.
Yeah.
And I like one thing about me is like in the morning, I would love to go outside and get like fresh air and like feel the sun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I started doing that. I was like, okay, let me just step outside and get some fresh air so I could feel like a part of my routine is still normal. And then starting to go to the gym again, even if it's just 2 to 3 times a week, so I could feel like a little happy, motivated, go to my family or friend's house, have game nights, have paint nights. I started hosting those so I could be surrounded by people and still feel like there's some type of normal things going on in my life. And when I started doing that, like it made me feel better in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it just gives me like more hope and then makes me want to push even more through all this recovery. So that's why I've been taking like my stretching very serious for my PT. Like I have to do them every day, twice a day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I tell myself, Naomi, you got to push through this and you got to do what you got to do so you could get back.
Yeah.
So you got to get back.
That's amazing. So is there anything you do during stretching that is enjoyable? That because like stretching is not enjoyable, right? Because you're kind of pushing through like scar tissue and stuff.
Yeah. So I love listening to like house music. So I will put
I
house
love house.
music. So I have to like just vibe to the music while I stretch. And then I honestly pretend like if I'm doing like some type of yoga. So I'm like, let me just pretend this is yoga. So I do my stretches because if not, I won't do them. So like I will do my stretch and I'm like, and I also just think about like how this is what I need to do to be able to get back to my normal life. So when I do the stretches, they're not really painful. It's just sad to see like the movements being so restricted.
Mm-hmm.
And like every day I wake up and when I go to do my stretch, I'm like, okay, let's see how much movement I have this morning. Like,
Yeah.
let's see how much progress there is. And like, one thing people need to understand when they're going through this journey is a very, very slow journey. Like, the progress will take forever. Like, I thought within 1 week, I will have all the range of motion in my life.
With 1 week.
But 1 week, that's what I was hoping. Because
Oh,
one thing
Naomi.
is like, TikTok is a lifesaver, but is a devil at the same time because you'll see other people's progress and they're like PT week 2 and they have all this range of motion. And I'm like, how?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I have no range of motion. And that was like another thing that would like hurt me.
Yeah.
I'm like, how you have all this range of motion in week 2 of PT? I'm like, I'm on week 3 and I don't have half of that range of motion.
Right. Right.
And that would like make me feel like, oh my God, like, am I ever going to recover from this? Because
Mm-hmm.
this person's like doing so much already in week 2 while I'm like still here and not there where they are for week 2. Um, so yeah,
I'm gonna
sorry.
chime in there. No, I'm gonna chime in there really quick. Um, I think one of my favorite examples of this kind of scenario is Michael Phelps, actually. And he points out that the reason that he's the best swimmer in the entire world is because he only compared himself to himself. And you would never catch him like looking at his competition in the respect of like, am I doing better than them? He would only compare his times to his times. And that's how he became like the best swimmer in the entire world and highest gold medalist ever,
Wow.
ever, ever. He has 27 gold medals, and the next closest is like 17. Yeah, yeah,
What?
he's just an
That's
alien.
kind of crazy.
And granted, he has absolutely phenomenal genetics, but like I still think that mindset plays a part because I think that social media has, the amazing ability to disseminate information at rapid speeds and across the world. And then there's this other piece of it that's that comparison factor where our ego gets involved. And so it's just comparison is the thief of peace and happiness. It is. And the moment you start comparing yourself outside of yourself, that's where you suffer. And
Yeah,
so
I
I
agree.
think, yeah, I think that, and it's so hard to know, right? It's so hard to know, like those people you see on TikTok, like their injury probably wasn't as bad as yours. Like the guy said it was totally black. Maybe theirs only had a little bit of black. And then like their 2 weeks of PT was all they really needed. But for you, you were given this like approximation of like a year, you know? So
Yeah, and Alejandro tells me the same thing. He's like, you can't compare yourself with everyone else on social media. He goes, you got to remember, sometimes social media is a lie. He's like,
true.
that person could probably be saying PT week 2, but it's actually PT week 8
True. Oh,
because they
so
want to
yeah,
look like they're so far ahead compared to everyone else.
that's so true. Yes.
I was like, damn, babe, I'm like, you're right. I'm like, you're probably right. And he said the same thing as you. Like, you don't know what their injury looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, like our mind is gonna, play those tricks and we're gonna I think what's so interesting about thoughts is that they come and go, right? And the only thing we're guilty of is attaching ourselves to a thought or believing a thought. That's
Hmm.
really the only place where we have culpability. Because like if I were to say to you, like, hey Naomi, the sky is purple, right? Or like some crazy color, like gray. And you're like, yeah, no, it's not. Clearly, it's like nighttime, so it's black. Like, you wouldn't believe me. And you have these evidences for why, right? But if I were to say something that maybe is an insecurity or something that you've told yourself before, like maybe one of those thoughts like, oh, this won't heal, or I'll never get back to myself before this injury, that there's that there's that part of you that's like, oh, maybe she's right. Oh, all these evidences for why, right? Like, look, there's this dry skin, this means this. And our brain is constantly gathering all this evidence to attach to that belief system. And I think it's so wise what you're doing is like you're focusing on what you can control. You're focusing on the healing. You're like, no, like this is going to heal. And then your brain is exercising that belief system and then slowly detaching from those other ones. So I think it's so wise what you're doing.
Thank you, thank you. It is a hard journey. Like, I wouldn't wish this upon like my worst enemy because it is a challenge, and I feel like it's so hard to explain it to someone else. It's like you literally have to go through it to experience like what I'm experiencing or other people have experienced because
Totally.
it's something that I've never thought would challenge me so much. Like,
Wow.
it made me realize that I needed to be tougher than what I thought I was already.
Wow.
And to reconstruct my mind in that way and change my mindset to become stronger than what it was, it took a lot and it was a lot of work and it was really hard. But again, having that support system and having people like believing in you and like my one of my best friend gave me a bracelet with the word Kaizen.
Let me see. You have it on you.
Yeah, I wear it every day. So it says
What does that
Kaizen.
mean?
So what it means is like it's a Japanese word which means improving every day.
Oh
So
my
she's like,
God. I
yes.
love her. I love
She
her.
made me cry when she gave me the gift. I was like, why you gotta do this to me?
Oh my God.
Because one of my love languages is like gift giving. So every time she came and visit me, she'll give me something. And when she gave me this bracelet and the meaning behind it, I was like, wow. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna wear this every day because it's gonna be one of the reasons why I push myself so much because you're reminding me that every little progress that I make is improvement.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. When you say you did the work to improve your mindset, what did that look like? What does that work look like? Is that journaling, meditate? What does that look
So
like?
one thing I never like something I would never do is like write myself letters. So when this injury first happened, I started writing letters to myself where I would open the letter um on the day that I would see my doctor. So like my first appointment was like my surgery, for example, and I wrote myself a letter before surgery, basically telling myself, when you open this letter in 2 weeks, like you'll be in a cast, you'll be done with surgery, you're one step closer to where you need to be. And I realized that will help a lot with how I was feeling internally because I was able to pour it out on paper. And then I wrote myself another one where I was coming out of a cast into a boot and I was learning to walk again. So like in the letter, I'm basically saying like, hey, at this moment, like you're walking now, like you're already another step closer to being able to go back to your normal life. And crying. One thing like I will do is cry. So I had to literally like all the emotions I was suppress, I had to let them out because that was the only way I was able to heal from what I was feeling. Like I was feeling sadness, I was feeling anger. So I had to let those emotions out to be able to heal from them. Because if
Mhm.
I would have suppressed them, like I would have still been in that little dark hole that I was in the first week after surgery. Um, and another thing like that helped was like expressing how I felt about the situation to like my mom, to Alejandro, and like hearing their motivational words and hearing their encouragement like will help me and will help me see like the bright side of things. And I had to like accept like what I was going through. And like again, like how I said, like I had to see what I'm going through as my own story to tell and a way for me to see myself go through something that I would have never thought. Like it made me realize that I'm not like unstoppable. Like it made me realize like I'm human, like this could happen to anyone, but you will never think it will happen to you.
Mhm.
And
Wow.
it gave me a wake up call, like, wow, like this happened to me, but why did it happen to me? What am I learning from this? And I even started like making candles. I started like a pen pal where I started like writing letters, which is funny that like this injury made me do things that I always say I wanted to do but never did. And it will heal those little areas of mine where I was like, oh, I want to do this, but I never have time. Or like I was just like being on my phone, scrolling on Instagram and doing stuff like that and just killing time doing nothing. So with this injury, like I needed to keep my mind busy with doing stuff. And I started becoming more creative and my creative side would come out more and that would bring peace to me somehow. I don't know if you saw the reel I made where I made my little second cousin, like her little gift basket that I DIY'd it.
Yes, it was like a toy, right? It was like a little
It was
kid.
like a little fairy box, and then it had like the hanging
Yes.
clothes and stuff.
I saw that one.
So yeah, so like having so much time to do things now, like made me realize like how much talent I have and how creative I
Mm.
could be without no, like I would have never known how creative of a person I am if I was never in the situation.
Wow.
And like it showed like and it even made me for some reason it made me become more caring to others.
Mm.
And I even like my relationship with me and Alejandro's sister did not get along. And after this injury, we're like this now.
Whoa.
And she's been here for me like through it all. And I was like, wow, I was like, what if this injury was like a way to repair our relationship?
Oh my God, that's
I was like,
amazing.
as shitty as it sounds, but
No,
I'm
it's
like,
like
who
so
knows?
beautiful.
I'm
Yeah.
like, who knows? I'm like, so many things happen, even though it doesn't matter how little. each thing is. When you add it all up, it's like, wow, like all these things I discovered, all these relationship I repaired just because of this one injury that happened to me. And it's crazy. It's like, okay, what if this needed to happen so this could happen?
Wow. Wow. What do you think the biggest difference are? So with his sister and your relationship, do you think it was your mindset that changed, or was it a combination of your circumstance with the mindset?
It was my mindset, the way it changed, as well as, so let me see how I could explain this in like a short version.
I know. It's
So
hard.
it was like seeing how, like, even though me and her did not have such a great relationship, seeing how she was still willing to be there for me and like text me like, hey, if you need anything, let me know. Hey, do you want me to go to your first follow-up appointment with you to support you in this? And like seeing like how like giving she was, it like gave me like a, I'm about to cry.
Oh,
It like I felt more like compassion for her, and like I grew love for her because I was like, wow. I was like, even like people that I would consider my best friends weren't there as much. And for someone who my relationship with them wasn't that great, she's the one that's there all the time. And like it made me realize that our relationship wasn't close because I would judge her for the type of person she was, but it made me realize that, everyone is who they are because of their own traumas, of their own growing. Like, I can't control who she is because I don't know what she's been through to be the person she is. And seeing her like be there for me and seeing her like do things for me and always like be like, I could literally call her and be like, hey, can you come right now? Like, I really need you. Like, I can't do something. Like, she'll come right away. And I feel like her actions spoke so much to me that I'm like, wow, it's like she's action. Like, she's not just all like talk, talk, talk. Like, I know I could count on her. And like her, like taking almost all her weekends to come over and spend it with me, either like paint night. One day we had like a baking competition where we all like baked cakes and competed decorating them. Like she was always making sure that I was good. She was always checking on my mental health too. Which
wow.
is like a lot of things that people don't do. They was just like, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? Like she'll be like, hey, how are you feeling today? Like, are you okay? Like, do you need anything? Like, how's your mental health today? Like, are you good? And like that really meant a lot to me. And then like she won my heart by doing those little like gestures and doing
Yeah.
those things out of the kindness of her heart. And that she even says it. She's like, girl, she goes, ever since this happened to you, like our relationship has like built so much stronger. I'm like, I agree.
That's
I was
amazing.
like, I agree. I was like, the first year me and your brother dating, we weren't here where we're at right now.
Right, right.
I was like, you would not be in my living room laughing, cracking, making jokes. But I was like, but
Wow.
look at us now. I'm like, who knows? Like, this is part of the journey for us to repair our relationship. And it
Oh,
also made me realize like how lucky I am to have a boyfriend that was willing to do everything that he needed to do and make sure that I was okay, like make sure he had a meal for me, make sure he cooked breakfast, made my coffee, made my lunch, made my dinner,
wow.
showered me, took me everywhere, and has so much patience, like stay up with me till 3, 4, 5 a.m. because I can't sleep in this freaking stupid boot. It's so hard to sleep in this freaking boot.
Oh,
Like it's torture.
yeah, I
And
know.
like I have to wake him up every 2, 3 hours, like, hey babe, can you fix my boot? It hurts. Hey babe, can you take my boot off? Hey babe, can you massage my feet till I fall asleep? He's so patient that he's like, yes, babe, I got you. Yes, babe, I got you.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I was like, wow, like I'm so lucky to have a
Yes.
man that is willing like to do so much and beyond
Right.
and not complain and do it with so much love and so much care.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Oh, my goodness. I loved this interview. This was so you're such a, uh, I feel like this is such a hard journey and you're taking it on with purposefulness and intention. And I love those. That's such a powerful thought. I don't know if you recognize how powerful that thought is that you're thinking, what is the purpose of this? What am I going to learn from this? I know I'm going to be getting stronger from this. Like I know this is going to benefit me. And you're almost like it's like you're conditioning your brain to say this was meant to be. I'm accepting it and here's what I'm going to do with it. And it's so empowering. I think this is going to help a lot of people like to hear your story.
Yes, and one thing I would say is don't compare yourself to everyone else's progress because it's not the same.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not the same. A lot of TikTok people, Instagram people will make it look like it's easy,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's tough, and behind social media, like you're gonna be going through it, but as long as you have like a good support system and you keep your mindset positive, you'll be good.
That's such good advice. Oh, I love it. So, okay, where can people like find you or like follow your story? Like what's the best way to reach out to you?
So I am updating all my updates and progress on Instagram, which is
Uh-huh.
at wanderlust underscore Saji
Okay, I'll tag it.
X33.
Yeah, I'll in the show notes I'll add your Instagram. Is there like another social media outlet you use that people could follow your story?
I'm using TikTok as well.
Okay. Send
And
me your
TikTok,
TikTok and I'll put it in the show
yeah,
notes.
it's the
Cool.
same as my Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. You're like, I'm
Easy
keeping it
peasy. Easy peasy.
the same. Naomi, thank you so much. This was such a joy. I learned so much from you. I'm inspired by you. I'm like, God, man, she is like kicking my booty. I'm like, I gotta up level my life a little bit. No excuses. Oh my God. Well, thank you so much again. I
Thank
I wish
you.
you all the best in your recovery and I just know I support you and truly love you.
I appreciate you. I love you too.
All right, girl. Have a good one.
You too.